All right, good morning, everybody. It's Monday morning, uh, Victory Monday for the Green Bay Packers. Real quick, we'll go over game picks yesterday. Green Bay pulled out the win in New Orleans, down 17 to nothing early in the fourth quarter. Comeback won 18 to 17. For the life of me, I do not know or understand why they went for two when they did to make it. Instead of making it a 17 to 10 game, they're trying to make it 17 to 11. Don't know why they did it. I was highly upset when they called that play. It worked out, and then they ended up taking a 1 point lead. New Orleans missed a field goal late, and that secured the win for Green Bay. Cleveland thoroughly manhandled Tennessee, pulled out that win. Detroit handled Atlanta well, pulled out that win. Miami hung 70 points on the Denver Broncos, most points scored in an NFL game since the 1960s by a team. Uh, and really, they had a chance to kick a field goal late to actually take the record of most points ever scored by a single team, but they elected to kneel the clock, which I don't really understand because you were going for it on fourth down later in the game when you had a 20 point lead, 30-point lead, and you're still going for it on fourth down. Like, kick the field goal and take that record. Um, the New England Patriots continued their dominance over the New York Jets, pulled out that win. Buffalo thoroughly manhandled the Washington Commanders, won that game. Houston with a surprise upset over Jacksonville. Baltimore upset, not Baltimore was upset by Indianapolis. Indianapolis played really well and pulled that game out. Into the afternoon game, Seattle beat Carolina. Kansas City thoroughly manhandled the Chicago Bears. Arizona with the very surprising upset of the Dallas Cowboys. And in the late game, the Pittsburgh Steelers finally looked like they got some offense going, played good defense, and beat the Las Vegas Raiders. So, as it sits, I am sitting at 10-4 on the week. We have two Monday night games. Tampa Bay and Philadelphia, and Cincinnati and the Rams. I have Philly and the Rams, so hoping to pull out at least one of those and hopefully both to get 12 wins on the week. So, a couple of hot topics around the league. Obviously, I already talked about Green Bay. This is only the second time in their 100-plus-year history that they were down by 17 in the fourth quarter and won. Jordan Love and the offense did not really play well the first three quarters. A lot of penalties. I mean, really sloppy play on offense throughout the majority of this game. And I get it. Your most explosive wide receivers out, Christian Watson. Your most explosive running back, Aaron Jones, is out. Your two best offensive linemen are out. Um, but there's really no excuse. Like, you're a professional. You're expected to step up and play well. And a bunch of, like, I think three false starts, a couple of holding calls, offensive pass interference, illegal formation. Like, these were sloppy mistakes, and that is kind of on the coaching staff. They should have done a better job getting them in the week in the preparation and things like that. It was just sloppy, but they did. Jordan Love kind of put the team on his back as a first year starter, making his career fifth start or fourth start, actually third start this year because he's a new starter. He played really well when the game was on the line. He didn't play well through the first several quarters, but he led three scoring drives in the fourth quarter, got a field goal, got a touchdown, 2 point conversion, and then got another touchdown. He really leaned on Jayden Reed a lot. He's getting a lot of targets, so I'm really excited to see what he does once Christian Watson gets back in the lineup because that's going to shift some of the coverage that he's been receiving over to. I mean, everybody is going to get better coverage. So Watson's going to draw the top corners. Dobbs is going to get uh, some of the second corners, whereas he's been seeing the top corners, and then Reed's going to see some of the third and fourth corners because he's been seeing basically the second corner. So I'm excited to see how that chemistry between him and Love really blossoms. I think Jayden Reed's a really explosive player. I like when they get the ball in his hands; he does a lot. So I'm excited about that. We play the Detroit Lions Thursday night in Green Bay, and hopefully they sat Jones. He looked good in warmups. He looked like he was ready to go, but they did not play him. And I know Christian Watson was practicing last week, so I'm hoping at least one of those two were sat out so that they would be available Thursday night, because it is another division game. It is with the team that have a tied record with. So winning that game would securely put us a game ahead of everybody in the division. So hopefully one of those guys gets back on the field. Another hot topic for the weekend was the Miami Dolphins hung 70 points on the Broncos. They had 10 touchdowns. I mean, that was incredible. And if it were me, I mean, I get it. You're calling plays and they're out there executing them. Denver's defense is not stopping them. But at some point, I mean, I don't have a problem with them running the score up. And I don't think they were necessarily trying to run the score up. But as a head coach, at some point, when you've got the game locked up, secured, I mean, it's 100% game over. It's at that point, I tell everybody on the team, like, hey, whatever we call, whether it's a run, whether it's a pass, if you get a first down, if you cross those first down sticks, give yourself up, take a knee, go down. Like, just milk the clock, keep the clock running. It don't matter if you bust through the line and you're wide open for an 80-yard touchdown run. You get the first down, go down, take the knee. Like, just run the clock. And I say that because I wouldn't want other teams to see, other defenses to see what all we're capable of. I would want to keep the film to the minimum. Just, I mean, I wouldn't want them to see all these players on display performing well. I would rather keep some of this low key and save it for a game where we might need it. Some of these plays we may need in a pinch later in the season. So, like I said, I would have been telling my players, hey, get the first down. Don't go out of bounds at all whatsoever. Get the first down, take a knee, reset the downs. Let's keep the clock running. Don't snap the ball before 5 seconds left on the play clock. Just run this out. But Miami looked phenomenal. They looked like the best offense in the NFL. I mean, and it's easy to look like the best when you score 70 points, but I think other offenses are coming along and looking better. Buffalo's looking good. Kansas City's starting to look better. So I can't say right now they're the team to beat in the AFC, because they haven't really played a great defense just yet. I mean, they played Bill Belichick last week and he handled them pretty well, but they still beat them. So, and they haven't really faced. I mean, they did face a good offense week one against Chargers, and Chargers put up good numbers and a lot of points against them. So, I'd like to see them against against Kansas City, against Buffalo, against a team that's pretty solid on both sides of the ball like they are, and see how well they do. Um, Another big thing for the weekend was the Dallas Cowboys upset by the Arizona Cardinals. And I mean, I said it in my game picks that I'd said Dallas fans need to pump the brakes a little bit, slow down. It was week 2 going into week 3. And then that same day, the first time I said they need to pump the brakes, Diggs got hurt that day in practice, tore his ACL. And then, my next video, I said, slow down, pump the brakes. It's a long season. And then they come out and they just have a really bad game against the Arizona Cardinals, who is a really bad team. And they let them come out and out physical them. They come out and said, your defense is your strength. Well, we're going to neutralize that. We're going to run the ball. We're going to make that defense stay out there on the field, get tired. We're just going to run the ball. And they did. And Dallas could not stop it. Now, as good as Arizona played and as bad as Dallas played, up until late in the fourth quarter, this was still a one-score game. Dallas had every opportunity to win. They got down in the red zone multiple times, come away with either field goals or nothing. I know when at the very end, Dak threw a pick in the red zone in the end zone. So Dallas is really struggling down in the red zone. I mean, against the Jets, they did score 2 touchdowns, I believe, but then they kicked a bunch of field goals, and a lot of them were from the red zone. And that trend continued yesterday. They would get down there, they would either come away with nothing or come away with three. So Dallas is having trouble in the red zone with offense, and their defense didn't bail them out yesterday. And their defense played decent and kept them in the game, but their defense can't do it all. Like the offense has to do something. So, like I said in previous videos, the more you ask Dak to do, the more mistakes he's going to make. And the less you ask him to do, the better he looks. And yesterday, the game was on the line, down in the red zone. He's got to come away with a touchdown. He throws an interception. So it's still one of them things that until the game is on Dak's shoulders and he's got to make a play and he goes and does it and he gets a little bit more consistent at doing it, he's going to be their downfall. And that's what I've said for years. Like when you get to the playoffs, playing Philly, playing San Francisco, playing these good teams, even if you make the Super Bowl and you're playing Miami, Buffalo, Kansas City, some of these really good AFC teams, at this point, your defense is not going to it's not going to do to them what they did to the Giants week 1 or to the Jets week 2. Your defense is going to keep you in games, but you're going to have to score points. And that's when you ask Dak to do a lot, that's when he makes a mistake. So they've still got some hurdles to overcome with the play calling, with the red zone efficiency and the defense. I understand Diggs is out, so they were having to focus more on the back half of the defense, and that probably put a little bit less focus on the front run defense. But teams are going to mimic this. I mean, you play the New England Patriots this week. You don't think that Bill Belichick saw what happened, and you don't think he's going to do something similar and try to take advantage of what you're struggling with? Because he absolutely will, and he's smart enough to come up with a plan, and they very well could do the same to you. And then the week after that, you're playing the 49ers. They have a great running offense. They have a very creative offense. They've got very good wide receivers and a good tight end. You don't think they're going to take advantage of that? I mean, and then you can follow that up the week after that. They're playing the Chargers, another really good offense. So you've got some good offenses coming up in the next month and a half, and then leading into mid to late November, early December, you're playing a whole onslaught of good offenses: Seattle, Philadelphia, Buffalo, Miami, Detroit, all in a row. You've got to figure something out. And to me, the one thing that I said San Francisco played bad Thursday night, but good teams play bad and find ways to win. That's what I always say. And bad teams play good and find ways to lose. San Francisco did not play very well, but they were never in doubt of losing that game. They were in control of that game the whole time, and a lot of their mistakes were self-inflicted, whereas Dallas was never in control of that game. They were never in the lead. They played really bad. So the fact that if they had won this game, I would say this is really not much of a concern because they see what they need to work on, but they still found a way to win. They didn't find a way to win, so this is somewhatly concerning for them down the road and later in the year. Teams are going to know what their weakness is and what they got to try to do to them. And I think there needs to be somewhat of a shift in mentality because after the game, Michael Parsons said we played down to their level. I mean, to an extent, I do think good teams do play down to other teams every now and then. I mean, like I said, San Francisco had a lot of self-inflicted mental errors, so you could say like they are not necessarily that focused on performing well against the Giants because it was an easier game. Now, the biggest issue I have with what Parsons saying that we played down to their level is like, no, you did not play down to their level. You didn't play up to their level. Like you played below their level. They beat you. They out physicaled you. They out manhandled you, and they beat you. So you didn't play down to them. You failed to even play up to them. So I don't really think that's a good statement to make at that point. It's like, hey, you lost the game. They were the better team. They played better. We did not. Get out there in front of the media and say it. Hey, they were the better team today. We didn't play well. and leave it at that. But to say we played down to their level, that's I feel like that's a little bit of an insult to the Cardinals. And like I said, you did not play up to their level. You played below their level. So if you're going to say something, at least be accurate with what you're saying. And I know players say they don't listen to the media, they tune the media out and all that stuff. In the press conference, Dak said that the media built them up to be this great team, and it's like if you're telling the media you built us up to be this, that means you're listening to what they're saying and you are feeding into it a little bit. So I think they need to ignore the media. I think they need to stop feeling themselves. I think they were feeling themselves way too much after the first two games. Come out in third game, they got kicked in the teeth. They've got three tough games coming up. Three well-coached teams. I say that two well-coached teams in New England and San Francisco. I don't think the Chargers are that well-coached, but uh, some solid defense in New England and San Francisco. Some real solid offense in San Francisco and Los Angeles. And New England's not that bad on offense, so it could be a tough game, 3-game stretch right here, trying to figure out how to adjust and what to do on defense without having Diggs. So until you really see what you're going to be now that you've lost a key player, keep your mouth shut. And it's kind of like the same with what I said about Deion Sanders. Keep your mouth shut. Worry about football. Don't worry about the media. Don't worry about saying you know, don't worry about saying anything. Just say, hey, we got to get better. Leave it at that. So that's kind of the couple big topics for the weekend. Again, tonight we do have a doubleheader on Monday Night Football. Philadelphia Eagles on the road against Tampa Bay, and the LA Rams on the road against the Cincinnati Bengals. Don't know if Joe Burrow's playing or not. He's been listed as questionable. It may have been announced by now he's playing. I don't know. I haven't saw it. But I got the Rams winning, and I got Philly winning. I think Baker, he's been playing really well. I think he'll keep playing well, but I don't think they will be able to slow down the Philly offense. And I think the Rams, they've played really well these first two games, and I think we'll continue to see that tonight. So we'll hop back on here in a day or two, go over the Monday night games, go over my final standings for the week, and start looking ahead to week 4. So if your team won this week, happy Victory Monday. If your team did not, sorry about you. I'll catch you later.